Welcome to the channel. In this video, I want to share with you why it is that I am gradually almost closing down my eBay store selling sports cards and moving almost my entire inventory into COMC. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I've been using COMC quite a bit. I was living abroad for a long time, and COMC presented an option for me to buy and sell sports cards way easier than eBay. But after moving back to the US, I started using eBay a lot. I was still using COMC. I like the platform. I've become very familiar with it. But I started using eBay more and more. I opened up a store. I was putting in a bunch of cards almost daily. And now that I've been doing that for maybe like 8 months, and it's doing pretty well, I'm selling, I don't know, maybe on average like $1,000 of cards each month, not in profit, but in actual like sales. It's been going very well. I've been making a good profit on those. I've been quite happy with it in general. But I've decided in just the last few weeks that I am really moving a lot of my inventory out of eBay and shifting it into COMC. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The biggest one is time. The factor of time. When I first got back to the United States, I was looking for various ways to try to make some money while I was in the process of searching for a job. I didn't want to jump into the first job available. I wanted to be a little bit picky. So I was trying to find temporary income streams to kind of keep afloat while I looked for a better long-term situation. Not everybody might be in a situation where they can have the flexibility to do that. I was in a situation where I could have the flexibility to wait out and find the right job. But the additional income streams of sports cards and other things were helping with that process. So I'm saying that because, I was putting a lot of energy into really figuring out the best way to utilize eBay to sell my sports cards. And one thing I came to learn is it takes a lot of time. Really, because of the way the eBay algorithm works, you have to be submitting cards, uploading cards consistently. If you put up a bunch of cards and then your inventory becomes stale, your cards are falling further and further down the search list, and it's going to be very hard for you to sell a lot of those cards that become stale. I was even finding like if there was a card that was sitting in my store for a couple of months, if I just ended that listing, redid that listing again, like as a new entry, same picture, same description, same everything, but it was a new entry, then suddenly that card would sell again. It's like once the inventory was in there for a while, it became stale and it was difficult for it to move. So I either had to be taking new pictures and uploading new things pretty much daily, or I had to be ending old listings and resubmitting them as new listings regularly so that I would have a schedule basically of some new cards coming out every single day. It felt like my YouTube channel. That's the same process I've had to do with my YouTube channel. In order to keep the algorithm happy, I've had to learn how to have a consistency with my uploads. You guys would probably be happy however often I can or can't upload, but the algorithm overlords do have certain expectations in YouTube, and the same is true in eBay. And I was finding that the amount of time I was spending in eBay was getting to be a little bit ridiculous. Once I got a job, I did get a job, my perfect job, wonderful kind of thing. I didn't want to spend that kind of time taking pictures of cards every single day, of uploading. It doesn't take that long to make an individual listing, but when you think about the time I have to carve out to, even if it's just 10 cards a day, the time I have to carve out to go in, take pictures of the front and the back, I have a little light box, take pictures of those, get them onto my computer, go in, upload them into 10 different listings. And then, if I'm putting in 10 cards a day, I'm going to be selling pretty regularly. I was selling pretty regularly on eBay. So I'm also every day or every 2 days or so needing to get together cards to package, to ship. I was doing it basically every 2 days. And that was taking a long time. I was making money consistently. So it was motivating me to do it. But at the same time, it was taking a lot of time. In the same span of time over on my COMC account, I had cards selling all the time and I was doing absolutely nothing. So, for a while it was fine because eBay also sells a little quicker. I didn't have to pay an ingestion fee and this kind of things like you do at COMC. So there was a lot of advantages to me trying to do it this way. But as I got busier and the amount of time I had to upload new cards got less and less, I also found that my eBay store was getting less and less views as well, again, because of the algorithm. And I couldn't keep up the pace. I could, but I didn't want to keep up the pace. I didn't want this to become a part-time job when I had a job itself. I wanted to be able to move inventory, but not have to spend nearly as much time on it. And that's at the core of it, the reason I have gradually been moving all of my inventory over to COMC. COMC. I still have some things up on my eBay store. I'll probably continue to use it occasionally for certain things. If there's a hyped up player that's hyped up right now, I'll get that card on there. But for 95% of my inventory now, I am sending it off to COMC, and that's probably what I'm going to continue to do into the future. I also have uploaded some stuff for sale on buysportscards.com. You know, they have no seller fees, so I did upload a span of time when I had a little block of free time, a bunch of stuff into that site, and I'll just keep those on there. Maybe every once in a while, because I put mostly cards that are lower end that I don't think were even worth me spending the time doing on eBay or sending into COMC and paying the 50 cent or $1 ingestion fee. It wasn't worth it for me. But I'm not going to use that site very regularly because it's very slow. There's not that many people buying cards from that site, unfortunately. I wish more were. It's a great site, and as a seller, they take 0% fees, which is amazing. But as far as other things, I'm finding COMC. You know, COMC is making a lot of moves these days. They've now got funding from eBay, so they have additional financial support to continue to build out their systems and structures. They've got this eBay live auction thing, which I've talked about before, which I am making a lot of money hand over foot on that one. You can now submit cards for grading in there. They've got all these different things that they're offering in that platform now. And I find that the limitations that used to be there are no longer there. I'm selling inventory just as quickly on COMC as I do on eBay now. I sometimes faster because of the eBay live auctions. Those can do really well. So I'm able to move through inventory much quicker on COMC than I used to. So the disadvantages to COMC are disappearing. And the advantages to eBay are also seemingly disappearing for me. So I'm gradually moving more and more, and I think I'm going to keep doing that. Part of it is because of this channel as well. I want to keep doing YouTube content, and I kind of find like the amount of time I'm going to spend on YouTube content is equal to the amount of time I'm going to spend on eBay. If I do COMC, I can still do buying and selling of sports cards as much as I want, but then I have this time freed up to be able to do a little bit more with my YouTube channel, which I value this. I value being able to hang out with you guys and chat about different things I'm doing. So I think this is a more important part of the hobby for me, is this space to connection, like kind of community building. And the eBay side of things is not so important to me. Everything I was doing on eBay, I can do on COMC. So I'm going to do that, free up this big block of time where I don't have to be micromanaging my sports card inventory process, where they're doing that for me. And I've made videos in the past. You know, I know some people think the COMC fees are too high, but I've made in-depth videos like looking at the fee structure and comparing COMC and eBay, and it really evens itself out when you really take it every different element into consideration. It basically evens itself out. So I don't think the fee structure is something that's keeping me away. Before, the pace was one thing that made me want to do eBay more, and that's changing. So I find that there's no real reason to keep building up my eBay store anymore. 2 weeks ago, I was always floating right around 250 cards on my eBay store at any given time. I was selling very regularly and uploading regularly, so that number would fluctuate, but it was somewhere around that number. I think I'm down to like 75 cards at this time. I've boxed up a bunch of them already and sent them off to COMC. I'm just going to keep doing this. I think COMC is a great way to be able to engage with the hobby without needing to spend so much time on just the transactional elements of the hobby. I'm not going to completely close my eBay store fully. There might be some cards that I still even send to myself from COMC to sell on eBay. It might happen sometimes. I just think it's going to happen less and less and less, because I'm really valuing the service that COMC is providing and the time it's freeing me up to be able to do other things. What about you? I mean, how are you managing your time in the hobby in a way that you find to be most beneficial? I find the COMC to be the one that I don't have to do any sort of schedule around. I just have a block of time, I package up some cards, I send it off to them, and that's hands off. Doing that more, I think more now that I have other options. Before, I don't think I valued it as much because it was my only option when I was living abroad. Now that I have a lot of options, I've experimented with a lot of options, I appreciate COMC more than ever before. They should really sponsor me. I don't know how I go about getting a sponsorship, but gosh, I speak so highly of COMC all the time. Even when I'm critical of them, I just feel like I have a lot of good things to say about them. So COMC, if you're watching this, I'm still open to a sponsorship. Definitely am. All right, anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.